So, hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Color Defined. I hope you guys are all doing well. And today we're going to continue our topic from last time, if anyone remembers, which was of menstrual equity. So, last time, just a side note, last time I do remember quite a few people wanted to share their thoughts. And so, feel free to do that in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts and opinions on the topic that we will be talking about today. Now, without any further ado, let's get into welcoming our guest for today, which is Geeta Solanki, the founder of Unipads, which is a great organization working towards menstrual equity in terms of accessibility to products and creating awareness. Hi, Geeta, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm really doing good and hope you're doing fine as well.
Yes, I'm doing great as well. Really excited to have you here. And
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, it's a pleasure. So, I know you a little bit. I read about you, your story on Snapchat. What a coincidence, but I'm sure other people would want to know more about you. So, would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself, where you're from, what you're passionate about, etc.?
I'm from Gujarat in India, and I come from a agriculture background in from a very small village in Saurashtra in Gujarat. In the Gir Somnath district. But I've had my education in boarding school, convent school, and my dad is an hotelier and government contractor. And after my studies, as usual, the Indian girls get married at the right age and stuff. So yeah, I got married early. In my early 20s, and
Wow.
I have two beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I've done my MBA in finance, and my husband is a pediatrician neurologist. um, by occupation and by profession, I'm a childbirth educator, wherein since 7 years I've been running these classes for prenatal and postnatal workouts and stuff, like yoga, meditation, and all of those stuff for the I stay in Ahmedabad, so I'm residing in Ahmedabad in Gujarat, and I have that center here in Ahmedabad. It's a franchisee model, and yeah, that's about me. And I'm founder of Unipads, which we started in 2018 September. So, which is into manufacturing and distribution of reusable cloth sanitary pads.
Yes. Oh, perfect. That was an amazing introduction to yourself.
Thank
um,
you.
that just made me realize that you're not just restricted to Unipath. There are a lot many other initiatives you're doing, which is amazing. And yeah, keeping us inspired. Um, Now that you have told us a bit about your organization and things, I'm kind of just curious to know, like, if you were to like summarize, what is kind of something you would say has helped you be where you are today? Because we always just see people like being at the position of a founder, etc., and we just imagine it as a straight line, but I'm sure it's a mix of a lot of zigzags and a lot of
Yeah,
struggles.
it's quite crooked actually.
Yes.
So, Unipads is something that did not happen. Something that was not planned. It just a matter of not even a coincidence, but
Yes.
some incidents that happened in life, in personal life, that led to Unipads, like
Yes.
founding Unipads.
Yes.
So I had my personal issues when it came to menstrual hygiene and other stuff. So I remember in 2016 I was first diagnosed with vaginal cyst, which is called Bartholin cyst,
Oh yes, I've heard.
and yeah, so I had to undergo a minor surgery because it doesn't have any medication. It had to get a carton and you have to get the dressing. It's a minor surgery, but it is a surgery.
Yes.
So it's an outer vaginal cyst, which I suffered from. And after doing the biopsy, my doctor tells me that it is a recurrent cyst. So you can expect it to come again anytime in future. So I was like, okay, so I have to keep a track and be vigilant and maintain the hygiene and stuff.
Yes.
But it was just nothing under our control. It was just there. And in 2017 again it happened,
Oh
and this time around I had my periods on. And as usual, I was using my disposable sanitary pads, the
yes.
Whisper, which is very much available here. And As it is, it was very painful. The cyst itself was very painful. I was bedridden, and the cyst surgery was to be performed in another 2 days. And my doctor says we cannot perform the surgery when you're in a period, so we have to wait another 3 to 4 days till you're done with it.
Oh my God.
So, all the more it added to the
Yes.
pain, and I was bedridden. I couldn't,
Wow.
move around, and using the disposable pads, which could give a very bad friction against the cyst,
Yes.
it made it unbearable pains.
Oh my God.
So that's the time when I said to my mom that I don't think I can use this. I mean, what do I do? And she gave me a very simple solution. She's like, why don't you use a cloth? I was like, it's gross. I mean, you get
Yes.
infection. She's like, I never got infection. All my life I've used cloth. I was like, okay, that's the point. So that's when she made me realize, like, your great grandmother, your grandmother in India, everybody used to use cloth, and till date, women are using cloth.
Yes.
So not everybody will have a infection until unless like
Yes.
the cloth is not clean and you don't wash it properly and stuff. So you have to maintain the hygiene, and the cloth is the best option. Surprisingly, when I used it, it was very comfortable. And that's when it struck me, like, yeah, we need something that is comfortable to the skin. It is beneficial for your health and also to the environment. It is a sustainable solution. And that's when we thought that, okay, there has to be some solution. So why don't generally the girls don't like to use cloth, is because it has its own disadvantages of leaking and not staying in place and uncomfortable. So we did like I did some research, and I get to know that this product called reusable cloth sanitary pads, it's been prevalent in many other developed nations as well, and in India as well,
Yes.
since quite few years, since a decade or so. And but it is not in the mainstream yet.
Okay.
So that's when we decided, okay. And coming from an agriculture background, I very much know what the girls in the rural are going through, what the women in the rural are going through. So I said, okay. So when we did the research, we got to know that in India there are very few NGOs or corporates who are making these pads, but they are only available online, and they're very expensive.
Okay.
So the majority of the population who stays in rural and semi-urban cannot,
Access.
afford those, and they don't even have the access to internet so easy. And that's when it struck me that I want to make this product in a way that it is affordable, accessible, and it is, like reaches out to the actual people who are in need.
Yes.
And that's how Unipads was born.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that story with us. I think that is so
Thank
important,
you.
especially like how your personal story ties into it, because many people
True.
sometimes, especially for things like these, they might assume in terms of why people might have started a certain initiative, why go back to
Right.
cloth when you have like this really newly designed, really good scented, pads. So I feel like, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, because I feel like I also never really thought about that before, because I was also talking to someone else, even in Canada, who is working towards menstrual equity, and they themselves, for reusable pads, they're using cloth. And I was kind of
Wow.
surprised, because I was like, wasn't that something that was done before? But then, in fact, people are saying that that is something which is actually kind of, coming back. Like, how trends come back from before. It's kind of
Our
just,
ancestors in India had a very sustainable
yes,
life. I mean, their livelihood, I mean, yeah, everything they practiced, everything that they followed was quite sustainable and wholesome. So, yeah.
yes. Yeah. No, thank you. And like just in terms of like, when you shared in terms of you created the design, etc. Like, did you work with a team with you, or like was it just you starting in initially? Like, how did that go? Like finding people to work with you? Because I know like in India there are several stereotypes, that are
True.
associated with doing certain things. You might have watched the movie Padman, and for people who don't get the reference, I'll put it below. But so like, how did that journey go for you?
It wasn't easy, to be very frank. Talking about, firstly, talking about menstruation or period,
Yes,
it has different names in different languages. We
yes,
have multiple languages in India.
yes.
And in Gujarat itself, there are different languages, people speaking different languages. So, uh, talking about the word periods or,
Yes.
menstruation itself is a taboo. People will not even respond to
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course it was difficult. But to start with, when I said I wanted want to do this, we first, I had to pull in few people whom I could trust and could believe in my idea and could spare some time for me. I pulled in my sister, my sister-in-law, and one of my friend. I was like, let's do this, let's do some desk research first.
Yeah.
Let's do some primary research then, and then let's do something about this. And when we got to know, did the research and finalized the product, the fabric and everything, we put down the product in a kit. And that's when we thought that, okay, we are ready for the pilot. We distributed these products. So we got this done in a very small batch from by outsourcing it. And
Yeah.
we distributed among more than 700, 800 women across different rural pockets of
Yeah.
Gujarat, where I actually have access to.
Yeah.
So, and we took the feedback after 3 cycles, after 6 cycles,
Yeah.
and that's we took the feedback in the local language, and we spoke to them and took took their advices as to what is good, what did they like about it and all. So all that, after the feedback, we got to know that they loved the product.
Okay.
One reason, because most of them are used to using cloth.
Yes. Yeah.
So giving them an improved version of a cloth, which has a leak-proof layer, snap buttons to secure it, they loved the product. Moreover, the others who were using Whisper and Stay Free or disposable pads in per se, they already had some issues with it, either related to skin irritation, chafing, infection because of long hours and the lack of knowledge that they're supposed to change every 6-8 hours. So they also loved this product, and then that's when we were confident that yes, we should launch it. So first time when we decide that we want to manufacture on our own, because we know that if we outsource, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So we decided that we want to do it in a village where we could give the opportunity and the employment opportunity to the local women there. So we decided we want to do it in one of our native place, which is in Jamnagar district, Vadiyagam. uh, Particularly that particular village, because it is a one crop land. They people there do not have they have scanty rainfall, so they do not have much of the work around the year. It is just 4 months of the year that they are employed. So that's when we thought that yeah, there is a gap there and they will be willing to. When I went to the village, obviously people knew because of my family background and all. There was a government school behind that. There were a few rooms where they were available to us. We got it claimed, and I realized that it is not going to be easy if I tell the men and the women there to come down and stitch me pads.
Yes.
I don't think their family members are going to allow.
Yes.
So what I did was I kind of contacted the local tailor there, and I told him that why don't you find me some women, and we will give them a paid training and tell them that we are going to stitch baby clothes, like the outfits and stuff, so
Yes.
from something related to textile.
Yes.
And we got some sewing machines and basic machines in place, the buttons and everything. And we had around 15 women who turned up for paid training, because they knew that it is a training and
Oh,
it is paid.
wow.
So this the master there, who was tailor, he just made them do straight stitching, zigzag stitching, and
Yes.
overlocking, and the basic training for one whole month. And after that, they were paid their training fees and salary. And that was the time I made them to sit down
Yes.
and had an open conversation about
Yes.
menstruation, their practices, what are the hygiene factors, what do they do. And then I introduced them the Unipads product, that is the reusable sanitary pads, showing them that this is the product that I plan to make here. And now that they knew that they're going to get like paid for something very easy, and I mean it was something that they could easily do and they are trained for, it was going to be a little easier for me to convince them. So
Yes.
I told them, go back, talk to your parents, your people, family back home, and then let me know and decide, and we can start within a week or so. So 11 of them, 10 or 11 of them turned up,
Oh,
and we started.
oh, wow.
So yeah, so we started with 10 women, and right now we are a team of 45 women at the manufacturing unit.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
much thought going into this. That was very smart.
Yeah.
Like not telling them initially, because I feel like that's what like I thought of before, that I was like, okay, you have the idea, you have the product, how do you get people to convince to work with you, sometimes.
True, true.
Because I've spoken to so many people, and when I myself, from my personal side, when I start talking to people who work at my house, for example, it's such a big of a taboo that people would literally turn around and walk the opposite path. That's
True,
how big it is.
true.
But yeah, oh my god, amazing. I should try this next time.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like after all of that happened, and like once it started, because I know like not any like opening any venture or anything is not easy, like as you mentioned, there are a lot of zigzags and ups and downs. Was there any one time where you came across a situation and you were like, oh my god, I have no idea what to do, and like how did you kind of figure it out? Like was it just like, was it just the taboo part that people had, that you faced as an obstacle, or was it like other issues also that might have popped up along the way, like one major issue that maybe comes to mind, like any like instance that comes to mind, and how did you kind of navigate your way through it?
Yeah, talking about starting the business, and it was a bootstrap. So obviously we had family funds
Yeah,
involved. I was, I had my other thing going on.
yeah,
Uh, Talking about the manufacturing, yes, that was the thing that I
yeah,
shared. But when it came to reusable sanitary pads itself as a product is very new. Okay,
yeah,
and people don't have an idea that something like this even exists. The only two things that people know here in India is like, okay, either it is cloth or it is disposable sanitary pads,
yeah,
which are easily available in the market at the kirana stores. So, firstly, this product cannot be just given as it is. It cannot go on a medical store shelf or a shelf of a provision store. It will not be sold, not at all. People
yes,
don't know that such a product exists. The education, the knowledge has to go along with it,
yeah,
and that's when we decided that we do not want to sell the product in a traditional chain of retail wholesalers and stuff,
yeah,
because that will firstly make the product expensive,
yes,
because
yes,
it changes hands and goes to the actual market. Moreover, we do not just want to sell the product, we want to pass on the right MHM knowledge along with the product, why it is a sustainable product and why it is beneficial for you. So
yes,
that's when we decided a difficult way to do it was to hire women agents
yes,
who would sell the products in the market. So we would, enroll women of different age. It would be housewife or a teacher, whoever, from rural and semi-urban pockets who want to earn something as a commission by selling these products. So that's how we started with around 8 to 10. We call them kalyanis.
okay,
So yeah, so we had started with 8 to 10 kalyanis, and right now we have a team of almost 85 kalyanis in our
wow,
across Gujarat. Yeah,
wow,
so they buy the stock from us and they sell it in their areas. So that is how it's happened. So it was difficult initially. I was like, okay, if I want to do
yes,
that, how do I convince a lady to talk about menstruation openly and also sell the pads?
yes,
So yeah, and I had to first, you won't believe, the first 5 to 10 Kalyanis that I had
yes,
were my own family members,
oh,
extended family members. As I told you, because of the agriculture background, all my first cousins, second cousins, everybody stays in rural villages and rural pockets of Gujarat. So I approached them, convinced them that I'm going to give you this talk to your women in the village, try and convince them this is so we train them
yes,
like how you're supposed to, obviously about the product, about the
yes,
right MHM practices and everything, why it is beneficial and everything. And then they started selling and they earned the commission out of it. And by word of mouth, we have around 85 Kalyanis right now.
oh wow, wow, yeah,
So,
I
yeah, the other thing that,
yes,
sorry to
no, no,
interrupt.
go
Yeah.
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. So the other thing that we faced a huge backlash was we decided that, okay, Kalyani is happening on this side. We will be selling like that. But we also wanted to make people aware about the product. And for that, we designed a proper MHM awareness campaign wherein our team would travel extensively into the villages of Gujarat and contact all the schools, all the educational institutions, specifically the government schools, the community, boarding schools, girls hostels, and we would tell them that we want to do a free awareness session, not just selling the product or marketing it, but general awareness session about menstruation.
Yeah.
And that's how we started, building the awareness about the third option that is available in market for them. And also there we had a lot of issues wherein if there is a male principal or a
Yes.
hostel warden,
Wow.
they're like, oh no, we don't encourage certain things and we won't allow you to enter our premises. And so that's part and parcel of it. But yeah, we did get good response. But yeah, there's always ups and downs. Everything, every new thing that you try, we always have to see something that is not fine.
Definitely. And I feel like that support system really comes to play. Like, like whether it be your family, friends in those different villages, I think that really helped out.
Yeah,
And I feel
yeah,
like that's one good thing about, I don't know, at least I've realized back in India is because like everyone has such big families or or such connected or close families that it
true.
becomes really helpful, even when you're starting a business and other things. I feel like it's
Yeah,
really helpful in terms of the support that they might provide, whether it be emotionally or at least in my
true.
case, even financially, that my parents provide me with.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. And kind of just, along the lines of like, we spoke about menstrual equity and how you kind of started with all of that. I'm just curious to know, like, what does menstrual equity mean to you? Like, like, yeah, if you were to
So
define
basically,
it. Yeah.
just a moment, my younger one just
Oh, no
dropped
worries.
in to
No worries.
disturb me.
No worries.
Just a moment, just a moment.
Yes, no worries.
I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. She could have also joined us in the conversation.
Yeah. Oh, she is, yeah. If strict instructions, still she could manage to sneak out from the other room and come back. Yeah, so yeah, we were talking about menstrual equity. Personally, for me, when a rural woman in India
Yeah.
who actually cannot afford disposable sanitary pads every single month for her convenience, if she is, whenever there's a time when she gets a free will to decide a product for herself and can afford that for
Yes.
herself, that would, and then that should be an informed decision. She should be knowing what is right for
Yeah.
her body, for her skin, for environment, everything put in place. If she can buy something that is a sustainable option for herself, an informed decision, I think that is menstrual equity for me.
Yes. No,
So
yeah.
that's very important.
And
Yes,
I think maybe like that, coupled with the fact that when she does go to buy these things, there is no sort of like, shamefulness surrounding that.
exactly.
Because
So
yes, go ahead.
whenever there's I always remember whenever there was a time where I had to buy the sanitary pads from a shopkeeper, it is always wrapped up in a
Yes,
paper and in a
I was
black
just
polythene.
thinking, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So once if a shopkeeper gives me hands over the packet to me
yes,
without covering it,
yes.
that's the time I think menstrual equity will be there.
Yeah, that's right. And especially, I remember once I like sent my dad to buy it for me, and that time he put even more packaging, or maybe he put it in an extra bag because he felt like it would be so weird for a man to be carrying it around. And my dad was like,
True,
I don't need no packaging for this. And
true,
so yeah,
true.
yeah. And just like, like now that we spoke about all of this, I kind of just want to take us back into like a reflection, like, seat. And just, know, like in terms of like, if you were to think like back 5 years ago, like, would you say you envisioned doing what you're doing today? Like where you
No,
are today, did you ever think about this, or is this something just, just happened?
I I was already doing things that I love. That was
Yeah,
educating the prenatal, like pregnant
yeah,
women related to their health and everything.
yeah,
That was my full time thing, and my daughters were young. I couldn't do my usual 9 to 10 job. Is something that I like 9 to 6 job is something that I never wanted. Entrepreneur thing, like everybody says that Gujaratis have that thing in them about doing business and stuff, my dad being one inspiration for me.
yeah.
But I never thought I would be an entrepreneur like that.
Okay.
It was, yeah, the franchising model that I was doing, it was very very satisfying and all.
Yeah.
But there was always, I never thought I would be doing something in this a particular sector, but yeah, I wanted to do something more related to women's health.
Oh,
So be it pregnancy, post pregnancy, or related to something more into it.
oh,
But I never thought, to be frank, 5 years down, back, if I go, I never thought I'd be here at this moment.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should definitely give yourself a pat on the back because you've been doing
Thank
an
you.
amazing job with what you're doing. And yeah, like also just like a bit of a quirky question. Like if you were given the option to go into the future or go back in the past, which one would you choose?
Going to the future, of course. No
Go
going
into the
back.
future? Would you want to go into the future and change something, or is there a reason why? Just
No, future in the sense, because there are things that we have envisioned now.
yeah,
Having your own venture, your own, social enterprise, which you have, certain dreams for, wherein you know where you want to take it,
yeah,
how you want to do it. So I want to enjoy each phase of this journey where it is going to go in future, 5 years, 10 years down the line. And I want to see that happening. So I think that's the motivating factor for going into the future.
yeah. No, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think even I would want to go into the future. Not in terms of seeing where my venture goes, but just to see all the cool things that are going to happen in the future. And, hopefully see
Yes.
myself as a consultant.
Wow. Awesome.
Maybe.
Amazing.
And I was kind of just wondering, like, is there any particular, like, I'm sure you've come such a long way, especially like being from like, India and like, being that South Asian typical, having those typical parents. I have heard so many phrases throughout my life from them, like motivational quotes, which they themselves invented. And they have always stuck with me. And they have literally been my, like, best friends in the toughest times. So is there any advice that maybe like your friends, family, or anyone, or you gave to yourself, which you think like worked really well for you?
For me personally, one thing that I've always believed, again, inspired by my dad completely, is being positive. Like, there are crooked lines, there are zigzags, but if you are positive, and I have been like that from very beginning. So even if things don't work out at times, the immediate thing, obviously, immediately you'll not be happy about it. You
Yes.
will, feel sad about it. You'll be low for a day or so. But ultimately, without even being given a prep talk, I would always have this strong feeling that this has happened for something good to happen later.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So that has always been there.
Yes.
So that is has always helped me sail through all the difficult times. So I think being positive, having that optimism in you, has helped me a lot. Yeah.
No, definitely. And I feel like that is something my parents also always told me. And I feel like
Yeah.
that also helps me get through things. Like if you read
True.
psychology, they say it's just a mechanism, coping mechanism.
True.
But I believe not. I believe that truly happens. Like whatever happens in life happens for a reason. And I think when you believe that,
Very
you
much.
just think
Very
everything's
much.
operating in your direction, whether it be the positive or the negative, it's there to teach you something and help you just grow as a person, you know because I feel like so many times as a student, many a times, let's say you don't get a certain job or like, don't get into a certain interview. Maybe that job wasn't meant for you. Maybe there's some other
True.
direction you're being pushed into. So I think sometimes going
Absolutely.
with the flow is very important. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
definitely agree to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, is there any like mantra or like affirmation that you live by? Like, do you tell yourself anything every morning you wake up? I know a few people do that, but
Affirmations, not really.
okay.
But yeah, as I told you, being positive. So yeah, certain routines that are there, some things that have learned over the years is like, okay, you have to have things planned, you have to, so those entrepreneurial things that, okay, you have to have your vision, you have to have a good team, you have to have your plans, morning to-do list. That
Yeah.
is all side, but then again, there's no fixed mantra, but yeah, just go with the flow and just be positive, and things are going to fall in place for sure.
Yeah.
So that is the feeling that I always wake up with, and I was like, okay, so this is how I'm going to take out my day, I mean, plan my day. Yeah.
Just one of the last few questions. Like, I was wondering, like, could you be able, is there any one instance or any one thing that you could point out as your, like, go to for success? Like what would be one main thing which you would say has helped you reach where you are today?
I think creating a product, first of all, to identify the problem.
Yes.
Now, menstruation is not something that I identified it as a problem.
Yes.
Okay, that problem was already existing. But then making a product or a service to, cater to that problem in a way that your solution shouldn't become a problem.
Yes.
You know, now supposingly, if we talk about menstruation, the problem is there since long. But if you obviously the first solution was to create disposable sanitary pads.
Yes.
Now disposable sanitary pads in a way has now people have started to realize it is partially a problem,
Problem too. Yes.
because the waste that we are creating, it is, and the kind of material that is being used, it is harmful for the your health, your environment.
Yes.
So again, we have to rework on it to create get another solution.
Yes.
So try and find out a solution that is sustainable in nature,
That's
that will not create another problem in future for others to tackle it.
yes.
I think that should be the thing that you should be careful about whenever you create any solution for any problem that you have, or any gap that you have identified to cater to.
Yes, perfect. And since we are coming towards an end, just one last question: what are the future plans for Unipads?
Yeah, so I personally believe that my Kalyani model.
Yes.
Right now, it was something that was just happening, going in a flow. We want to actually structurize that in a way that I can give employment opportunity
Yes.
to more Kalyanis in future. And I know that is by having just one product in the basket is not going to be sufficient enough.
Yes.
So we want to cater to the rural women with more products that are women hygiene and health products and are sustainable in nature.
Okay.
So that is easily accessible to the urban population. But when it comes to rural, they have very limited access, availability, mainly because of the affordability. So I want to make that possible through our Kalyanis. So made by women, through women, and for women. Yeah, like that. So in future, we want to add more products to the basket and cater and make sure that Kalyanis should have a sufficient income. Only that, then they should be motivated. Yeah.
Hmm. No, definitely. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. I think I learned so much. I'm really inspired by the end of all
Thank
of this,
you.
because I
My
feel like
pleasure.
everyone makes plans in their minds, but there are very few people who take actionable steps towards them. And you're
Yeah.
one of those people. So great job on that. And thank you so much for gracing us with your presence for this, like, channel today. It means a lot.
Thank you.
And I hope
My
you have a
pleasure.
great rest of your day. And yeah, sustainable solution.
Uh,
I'm going to
And
keep that.
let me tell you, Ritika. I mean, I've never come across such a young girl, wanting to know certain things in social sector, and making efforts to have your own YouTube channel to pass on the message to others. I mean, you go, girl. I mean,
Oh,
amazing
thank you
job.
so much. I feel like that's just really sweet. Thank you.
Thank
But
you.
have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye bye.